Near mint condition, the home of collected editions. Oh my gosh, look at that panel of Batman. You have the absolute, you have the deluxe. DC Comics firing on all cylinders. It is finally here. That's right, Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka Omnibus from DC Comics. I am the Uncanny Omar, and join me today here on Near Mint Condition as I get to talk about my favorite Wonder Woman run, finally available in omnibus format. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. So what we have here is the latest Wonder Woman omnibus, and it is the Greg Rucka era. Now, there were two eras of Greg Rucka that he got to write Wonder Woman. This is the very first era that he wrote, and then he wrote the Rebirth era, which is not collected in this Omni. And I'll tell you the reading order here in a second, but I just want you to check out what the book design looks like. Of course, what the spine looks like from the battle with the Gorgon, and then this beautiful cover here supplied by J.G. Jones, who actually did a lot of the covers for the inside of the book here, for the different issues. So you have Greg Rucka, Drew Johnson, J.G. Jones, and then Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka Omnibus, the DC logo there. And again, the spine. Well, we have it here. Let's go ahead and put it on the shelf. So it does... If you're collecting these books in Omni format, go right after the Phil Jimenez run and before the Gail Simone run. If you're collecting them in any type of format, it goes right after the Walter Simonson and Jerry Ordway trade paperback and right before the Who Is Wonder Woman by Alan Heinberg and the Dodsons. And we have the DC Bullet logo down there. And then this piece right here, From Princess to Murderer. What? Now, the stories found in here have been previously collected in a series of paperbacks. The three on the left were the latest printings and thicker and more complete. But all of these books are collected in the Omni. All right, let's get the dust jacket off right here and look at the flaps. Images again against the fight with the Gorgon, or rather the covers. And then this right here from Drew Johnson, who again was one of the cover, or no, the internal artwork is what Drew Johnson did. And then this piece right here from the Hiketeia by, of course, J.G. Jones, who drew the book internally, at least that one shot. All right, so we are going to open this up and talk about the stories found in here and show off the artwork, as well as look at the extras in the book. Okay, let's go ahead and open this up. Here's your end sheets. And Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka Omnibus. And then you have Greg Rucka, of course, taking the top billing for writing, but also Jeff Johns, Gail Simone, and Mark Verheiden. And then Drew Johnson, J.G. Jones, Ed Bennis, John Byrne, Shane Davis, Tom Derenick as some of the pencilers, Michael Baer, Mariah Bennis, Bitt, Andrew Curry as some of the inkers, and Richard Horry, Tanya Horry, Guy Major, Dave Stewart as some of the colors, Pat Brozu, Todd Klein, Robert Lay as some of the letters. And your table of contents, where you're going to find each of these particular issues. And there are page numbers scattered about, so rest assured they are here. So your table of contents does come in handy. You have this wonderful introduction that I didn't know something about, that Greg Rucka wrote. He talks about how he was approached by none other than Jeanette Kahn, who, of course, had been working at DC for 26 years and left DC in 2002. But at this particular Comic-Con, she approached him and asked, I heard you want to write her. I love that he's talking about Jeanette speaking in code. And he knew who her was, and she said, why? She asked the question, why? And the answer that he gave her is a really good answer. And he talks about how some writers don't get the characters right because they want to change things. And when you change things dramatically, it affects the character. Oh, it's just a really good introduction. But the thing that took me by surprise is that he had ideas for what was supposed to happen after the events of Sacrifice. But he never got to do them. And he talks about the regrets that he thought he was going to get to do them and they never came about. Oh, and that burns because Sacrifice is such a good story. And it's going to be really hard to talk about because, of course, there's a big spoiler that happens there. So I'll kind of give you an idea. But first, what is collected in here? So collected in here is Action Comics 829, Adventures of Superman 642, Blackest Night Wonder Woman 1-3, Superman 219, The Flash 218, Wonder Woman 195 to 226, and Wonder Woman the Hiketeia. And the book itself has 1,040 pages and retails for $125. Now, this is the run that, of course, happens after the Phil Jimenez run, the Walter Simonson run, and before they relaunch it. So it leads directly into Infinite Crisis. Now, I do have to talk about some spoilers as to what makes this run what it is, especially to someone like me, and kind of give you an idea. Not deep spoilers, but some spoilers as to what's happening through here, especially in the big, like, DC universe. So, because it is a shared universe. Something happened at the end of the Young Justice and Teen Titans crossover, or the Titans crossover and Young Justice, where we ended up losing somebody that is very close to Diana, and she is, during the beginning of this, through the mourning period of that. This kicks off with the Hiketeia, which of course I'm completely butchering in pronunciation, but it does come from a Greek word. It's a ritual that somebody pledges servitude to someone else of higher power. And during this time, it's very important to note that Wonder Woman is the ambassador of Themyscira. So she's living here in the US, she's with the Justice League, and what ends up happening is we see at the very beginning a young girl that murders somebody. And this is Danielle, and Danielle will become our, pretty much the character that we are told the story through her perspective. This is in Gotham City. That happened 3 weeks ago. She calls somebody and says, I'm done, Melody, and kills this guy. Leaves, and of course, Batman's after her. And Batman's like, this is the last murder. Apparently, she's murdered before. So what she ends up doing is escaping, and she goes to the embassy, the Themyscira embassy, where everybody knows that Diana's Wonder Woman, and she's the ambassador, and she lays down pledging her servitude to Wonder Woman in exchange for protection and aid. And that's what the word Hiketeia means. So Batman's after her. There's these 3 creepy creatures, these women that are across the street that only Wonder Woman can see. And if you're thinking, why would Wonder Woman hide a fugitive, especially from someone like her friend Batman? Well, there is a story there, and it's a really powerful story. And it shows, if you saw the back of this, I don't think this is a spoiler, how badass of a character Wonder Woman is. And I don't think I realized just how political the story is until I reread it just recently. I've read this story at least 4 times now because we did it in an old reader, new reader. But I totally missed that because I'm caught up in all of the lore that's in here, the Greek mythology, and then, of course, all these amazing stories that shows just how great of a character Diana is. So I'm not going to show what happens at the end of that, but that does lead directly into the first day at the job for Jonah. So let's get to Wonder Woman 195. Now, the way this is written, there's going to be a lot of characters that you're introduced to immediately that you're going to think, oh, was I supposed to know who this is? No. She is now at the embassy. And we have somebody that is having his first day on the job, and this is Jonah McCarthy. And he is introducing himself to everybody that works here. You have Elena Dominguez right here, who is the secretary for Wonder Woman. And he's going to go around and meet other people, including the character of is it public relations or public functions? Maybe it's PR, and then media affairs. And one of them is Peter Garibaldi, who is part of the media affairs. The lawyer right here, this is the character of Rachel Keast. And all of them working for Wonder Woman. So public relations, a lawyer, and he himself is a bit of a lawyer, and now he's working here. Peter actually has 2 kids that end up living in the embassy. Now, they're not alone. There's another character. This is really funny. This is talking about, like, how Wonder Woman sees herself. He's like, look, she's already chosen a cover. She's already chosen the title. This is what the marketing team came up with. Wonderful words. A Goddess Speaks by Princess Diana of Themyscira. Whereas over here, she wants to call it Reflections, a collection of essays and speeches by Diana of Themyscira. It shows the difference in how she sees herself and how the marketing team thinks the rest of the world should see her. Now, you don't even really see Wonder Woman, but she is off fighting in another country trying to stop this mad general from taking over. Superman comes by for a visit, and of course, somebody like Jonah, who we're seeing this story develop through, you're just starstruck. You're like, oh my gosh, that's Superman. He just came to visit. And you have characters like Alana, they're like, yeah, he does that from time to time. He's supposed to tell us when he's supposed to come in. Now, we also get the first appearance of this character right here. This is Ferdinand, who is a Minotaur. And he's like, yes, I am the Minotaur. No, I'm not. Actually, we're related. I love that. Like, there's just little hints there, and then we get more of Wonder Woman. And it seems like this is a family unit that is more so than employees working for Wonder Woman, and it kind of sets up who she is. And she finally comes in, and she's like, hey, it's your first day on the job. Did they tell you what I do with everybody on their first day on the job? And he was like, yes, I'm so ready. And she takes him flying. And there's a beauty and strength and just kind of sadness to her, all in one issue and all told through a story where she hardly appears. Now, the rest of this, of course, is a lot of build-up, right? You've got returning gods. Now, they have been a little bit modernized, looking super sexy like models, because we are talking about gods. This, believe it or not, is Ares and Aphrodite, who we've seen before, just looking a little bit different. Now, during this time, Ares is also up to no good, right? But we don't know what yet. He calls himself the god of conflict now instead of god of war. Interesting enough. Now, the book that Diana wrote, Reflections, about her personal thoughts and poems and essays, has an effect with the conservatives. They have a huge problem with the way that one of their leaders, in particular, leads this group called Protect Our Children. And Wonder Woman has done things that Daryl Keyes does not seem like it should be read by kids. So that's going to be a big smack to the face for her, because she was just being honest and true to herself. Now, that is one aspect of the problem that's going to happen. You have Ares, and you've got the Reflections backlash, and then you have another character that we are introduced through these pages, and that is the character of Veronica Kell. And Veronica Kell, unknown to Diana during this time, is an industrialist that does not like her, for reasons that will be explained later on. And one of the things that she does, I love that this ties into a lot of the previous runs, is kidnaps the character of Vanessa Capitelis, who is now, during this time, the Silver Swan, if you had read, like, Phil Jimenez's run, or even George Perez's run. And this is the character of Veronica Kell that has done this. She hates Wonder Woman, and you find out a little bit later, for reasons of her own, why she hates her. You've got the character of Zeus doing creepy things, like keeping an eye on Artemis and maybe having a crush on her. You have the character of, there's a little sweet story here of Cassie telling both of the boys, Martin, I can't remember the other kid's name, maybe it's Bobby, the story of Perseus and Medusa, which comes into play a little bit later, hence that cover. And then, of course, you were introduced to another character that is Veronica Kell's business partner, and that is Leslie Anderson. And one of the characters that's kind of playing a big role through this is Dr. Psycho. What role exactly? Well, I will leave you to find that out. But all of this is tying in together, because you have the Gorgons that show up later on, and they're trying to resurrect Medusa. So they go and get Circe, and all of this taking place without Diana noticing. Oh man, I love the treatment of the invisible jet, the dome, and her relationship with, I mean, just get the idea that Diana is such a sweet, innocent, wonderful, strong character. You can't help but not fall in love with her. Now, a lot of things happen through here. and I can't talk about everything, but I'm going to show you some of the highlights here. And of course, different artists just drawing the different story arcs through here. But one of the biggest fights that happens, that takes place through here after the whole Ares and what he's doing exactly, and all of the Dr. Psycho story and Veronica Cale, but now Veronica sticks around for a while, is the fight with the Gorgon, the fight with Medusa. It is amazing. Like, the fight that is about to go down is huge. Like, the sacrifices that Wonder Woman makes in order to stop Medusa, like, it shows you just she will go at no end to protect her friends, to protect the innocents. And what she ends up doing is just, I don't know, lack of a better term, wonderful. Now, because of that big fight, she is limited. So the Justice League wants to kind of give her a test to see how strong she truly is, because, you know, she's kind of given up that part of herself. So this is the big fight against this character that it's kind of like Zeus's bodyguard. This is Briareos. Sorry, again. I think that was the same character in Appleseed, the name. Anyway, and how she takes that character down is awesome. There is the crossover with the Flash in here. It's a two-part crossover featuring, this time around, the character of Wally West, the Flash, Wonder Woman against Barbara Minerva, Cheetah, teaming up with Hunter Solomon, the reverse Flash, the Professor Zoom. And this will lead into a bigger team-up that will be known as Villains United. And it is a huge crossover just to show just how maniacal these two characters can be by just switching their respective adversaries. Again, even though there's conclusions that are happening through here, the whole storyline with Ares and the whole storyline with Zeus does play a big part throughout the entirety of the book. And we do get to see characters like Cassie, who is my favorite Wonder Girl, and Connor here. This is now drawn by Rag Morales, and again showing the sacrifices that Diana makes. Now, this is the one that I can't really get into, but this is sort of like the grand finale, or everything's shaping up to the grand finale, and that is a story called Sacrifice. It is a story where someone is manipulating Superman into fighting some of his biggest supervillains, whether it's Brainiac or whether it's Darkseid. And there's a twist as to the big reveal. Well, there's a couple of twists, actually 3 big twists that changes the character of Diana. If you're thinking, what does this have to do with Wonder Woman? Well, she plays a big part, especially in the 3rd arc, when they find out who's behind everything and how they both are going to deal with this in their own separate ways. And that, of course, leads into the Countdown storyline. So, for reasons I can't get into because I don't want to spoil this in case anybody hasn't read it, I wish just part of OMAC Project had been collected in here. Because the Countdown and OMAC Project kind of have something big that happens that is talked about here. The main part is talked about here, but just the ramifications of it that happen later on is just such impactful to the entire story here. But anyway, something big happens, and you still have the supporting cast through here. As a matter of fact, there's a big twist with one of the supporting cast members. You have the return of Cheetah this time around with Villains United. You have characters like Artemis showing up through here and Io showing up through here that have previously played a part in Wonder Woman's life. And then, of course, the Mission's End story, which is the last part of Greg Rucka's run and ties into the OMAC Project, where a bunch of the OMAC are now attacking Themyscira. And the OMAC, of course, didn't realize that they were human beings that were just sleeper OMACs. And thus, the main part of the Wonder Woman Omni ends. Now, a few years later, there was a crossover called Blackest Night, and the 3 issues of the Blackest Night of Wonder Woman are collected in here with beautiful artwork by none other than Nicola Scott. And, of course, characters die and come back to life. I will say, this reads better if you read the Blackest Night event, because otherwise it's like, wait, how did Wonder Woman get this power? How did we go from here to here? So I will say, at least read the Blackest Night main event. In the back, we do have variant covers and pinups, which there weren't a lot of, but there were quite a number of pinups, more so than variant covers. And then character designs back here. New characters. Oh, and you get to see the return of Julia too. So it's not just Vanessa, it's Julia as well. There's Veronica Kell, who's a thorn at Wonder Woman's side without her even knowing. And when she actually makes a power move, you're like, what? And then bios on Greg Rucka, Drew Edward Johnson, and J.G. Jones, and your end sheets. Now, let's look at the binding of the book. 1,040 pages, and again, retailing for $125. That is sewn binding and printed in this thick, glossy paper stock. And the way that it lays over, let's actually look at... Here's an early double-page spread. So, just a little bit of gutter loss. Not much, honestly. It's looking good. Sometimes you can actually see the threads, the sewn binding through here. But that is it. That is Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka Omnibus. And that, as they say, is that. Hopefully, there'll be a follow-up to this, like the Greg Rucka era in Rebirth of Wonder Woman. Or just a Rebirth Omni with his run, and then James Robinson's run, and so on. But anyway, now that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltzcomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of this book. In the comments down below, let me know if you are picking this up, if you have the trade paperbacks and you're keeping those. If you've never read the run, but you're a fan of Greg Rucka and you've always wanted to check it out, and now that it's available in Omni format, you're all in. But that's it, everybody. Any questions, leave them down below. Smash that like button on the way out. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.